stadium rocking, purple and gold so bright. Feeling the fire of the bayou. SEC football, yeah, we live for the show. Catching up with Coach, crank it up loud. LSU Tigers hear the roar of the crowd. X's and O's, the hits and the scores. This is college football, kicking the doors.
Wow. What a way to start catching up with Coach back by being muted. Y'all like that? What y'all think, huh? What y'all think? What can we do with our spare time in the off season? It's make an intro, make some new pictures, make this thing pretty. Look, guys, we're not going to waste a lot of time because I could not be any more excited than I am right now. We are live with a very, very busy, jam-packed week edition of Catching Up with Coach. I actually just recently, in the last 10, 15 minutes or so here, got off the phone with Rusi. And there's a lot of us that are, I guess, I don't know, man. We're just trying to make it to the start of the football season. We're just trying to make it happen. And to be honest with you, I'm over it. I'm over the off season. I'm over the practice footage. I'm over the talking about it. I'm just ready for it to be here. But since unfortunately all we have to do is to go over, some of the stuff that we have to look through is all we have. We're going to go all through it. And you know that we're certainly not going to leave any stone unturned. But we are live. Welcome in. Where is everybody listening to? Where is everybody listening in? We obviously have a couple of different things that we have to kind of say off the top. If you didn't catch our last episode, funnily enough, shout out to our better halves. Russo and I each got engaged in the last time since you guys have probably joined in. We said that up top from the last episode with the Russo and Goodwin show, which will be airing later this week. I just wanted to say congratulations to him on that. It's a really, really big step. And I think if you ask them, they'd say they're probably the biggest fans of the show. Not really. Just kidding. They are super excited, man, in terms of, the amount of things that I'm asked to do on a regular day basis. It's a lot. But none of it could be more special. None of it can mean more, to be able to actually do the things that mean a lot to you. And that's the family you love, the people you love, and you're truly the Fighting Tigers of LSU in college football. So let's not waste any more time going over the pleasantries. Let's get right into it. Got a couple of comments here in the chat while we get started. Russo live tuning in. Tyler tuning in. Appreciate the love, fellas. What did y'all think about that intro? It's a little different, but I kind of liked it. Got a little bit of my new to come brother-in-law here in the chat. Shout out, Drew. All right, guys, let's talk about it. The one thing that everybody wanted to hear in the last few months that we never really had any of it. Okay. I'm going to go kind of out of order a little bit. I know obviously those are our topics. Those are kind of, the things that we're going to try to touch on here in the next, half hour, 45 minutes or so. But the one thing everybody wanted to hear was Sam Leavitt's voice. Dude, did everybody and anybody want to hear that poor guy's voice? And dude, it seemed like every single opportunity that there was to see, hear from him. What is he up to? How's the foot? The Liz Frank injury. Listen, a lot of people are that's kind of like a cuss word around here in Baton Rouge because obviously Derek Stingley Jr., his career was cut short over here at LSU because of Liz Frank. And so we just don't have a good experience with, dealing with that kind of injury. But candidly, I think if you were to look at what we see, right? Because all we can comment on is what we see. And what we see is an athlete running very fast, like in everything that we're doing. There's no hitch in the giddy up. There's no turf tape. There's no brace. There's no, hidden bottles of Advil and Tylenol on the sideline. I'm certain that he's like, he even kind of said it, which we'll get to here in just a second. His little media availability earlier this week. That he has to kind of warm it up a little bit, like before the practice gets going. But he is a very regimented person. I was actually kind of blown away, to be completely honest with you. I don't know what I expected. I, frankly did not go back and listen to, his like first media availability when he was a first time starter. I really just only paid attention to the games in which they, won and lost in the last calendar, year or so, which obviously he was, spent a lot of the last calendar year hurt. So he wasn't really available. And a lot of those clips are kind of hard to, bring up, and a lot of it is kind of tongue in cheek, coach speak, that kind of thing. I kind of wanted to hear him talk off the cuff just because I kind of want to see what his moxie is. Like whenever, Jaden Daniels got here, a lot of the discussion was very quiet, humble, lead, by, what he does, not what he says, not really like a rah-rah guy. And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't need my quarterback to be Baker Mayfield. I don't need him to be, Jameis Winston. Like I need him to do the job that he's asked to do and do it the right way the majority of the time and be a good individual leader to other people, whether that's people older than him, younger than him, recruits that are paying attention. I need him to be a leader. And it kind of seems like Kiffin has given him every single opportunity and chance to be able to do that. And so what I think is interesting about what he said when he got back, if you go back and listen, and the LSU people, those that have the microphone in the room, those that have, credentials, they all posted it. It's not hard to find on YouTube. Go and listen to his individual interview. It's about 8 minutes or so. And listen to the tone, structure change and his disposition physically when he starts talking about his health and well-being, eating healthily, physically being in his right, frame of body and mindset, how seriously he takes his sleep, his rest. It seemed like a very, very serious thing for him. And that's kind of some of the language that I wanted to hear him say. And to be honest with you, I don't really know that he could have said anything better, man. Like, I feel good. It kind of shows that he looks good. But what I really wanted to shy away from, and what I don't want to make the comparison of, because I know a lot of people are going to try to, paint this kind of narrative, is like the picture perfect transfer is clearly and obviously Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, right? Year one, come in, win some games, maybe some games you don't expect to win. And then the second year you go kaboom. Okay. Well, unfortunately for Sam, a lot of what they have on the roster now is kind of, you need to be better than that now. Like you may need to be a little bit more than a 3-4 loss football team in year one. And I know that's typically not what you could, get away with, but Kurt Cignetti goes to freaking like he literally goes to Indiana, the losingest college football program, and wins a national championship. Did they get a little bit of, 50-50, games and moments? Yeah, but they won, bro. They won. So Coach Kurt, I should say, has completely killed and ruined it for the year one coaches and year two coaches. You need to win right away. That is the world you live in. You now have the money over the table, no longer under. You now have the ability to go out and sign a free agency roster, included with some of the ones that you get in the National Signing Day. You now have to win now. There is no more 3, 4, and 5 year periods for most football programs that take their program seriously. And so what I think, unfortunately for kids like Sam Leavitt, when you have all of this hype, you're going to be held to that same standard that Lane Kiffin's going to be held to in terms of how quickly you are expected to perform. And so, whereas traditionally, and I think I've made this point before, whereas traditionally I would be more on the side of, you don't really get to put that kind of thing on the player. Well, you're paid like a professional athlete, and you are a professional athlete now. You make more money than most of the people that watch your games. Okay. They frankly they are likely the people that helped pay for you to be here via NIL. Those of us that are alumni, those of us that cheer for the team, love the team, we're not only emotionally but financially invested. So gone are the days of you getting to show up to campus and then just be okay. And maybe in year 2 or 3 you get to have a kaboom. In a lot of instances, if you're not good enough in the first like 5 or 6 games, they're going to see what they have in somebody else that's waiting behind you. You get discouraged, you take your ball and go home, so to speak. So a lot of the things that we're trying to see with Sam is, how does the timing look? What does it look like when you throw to Trey Green? What does it look like when you throw to Jackson Harris? What does it look like when you're throwing to Winnie Watkins? Somebody that I think, I said it in the last episode, I'm going to keep hammering this home, y'all. I think Winnie Watkins is going to be a problem for a lot of people. He is going to take on the role that Aaron Anderson was going to have in this offense had he stayed. And I just think that knowing the playbook, knowing what Lane Kiffin expects of him, Winnie is going to go for a lot of 3 and 5 yard outs on 3rd down and 2nd down and convert for you. I just think you're going to find him, man. He's a scat back, shorter guy, strong frame, good route runner, good speed. I don't think he's, Trendon Holiday, but I do think that he's going to be able to burn you deep if you let him. And so you're going to have a hard time covering that guy in zone coverage. I just think a lot of defenses, and we're not going to get to coverages just quite yet. We're going to save that maybe for the next episode or 2 episodes from now, but you're going to have a very, very difficult time running zone on this offense, man. Like it's just going to be, you're going to do it and make us run the ball, or you're going to try to play man and probably get beat doing so. I just think that Winnie's going to be a big thing for you. So his connection, Sam's rather, on those kinds of guys, we need to see. And we need to see them like now. And some of that intel, which we'll go into that other topic with camp intel, is that's kind of the ones that you're seeing right now, man. I mean, Jace Brown obviously is a guy. Jackson Harris obviously is a guy. Winnie Watkins is a guy. I have a hard time, finding. They obviously went and got 148 receivers. Lane kind of likes to have 4 to 6. That's not to say that all 9 aren't going to catch passes at some point. He gets everybody but the mailman involved in his offense, as does Kiffin. But I really do think that you're going to find that those, 4 names, they love the, Philip Wright, local kid from Destrehan. They love him. Do you get Trey Brown? Do you get Eugene Wilson involved? Eugene Wilson is the 5-star transfer from Florida. For those of you that do not know, I made this sentence in the last episode. For everybody watching and for everybody that watches me on delay, I'm going to be very, very, very careful how I word what I'm about to say, because I don't want to put, too much into the ethos. Okay. These are kind of the things that you watch this show for, right? Our opinions, our thoughts, players you might not know. In college football, we sometimes say that stars aren't everything. Stars are everything when you look at a person like Eugene Wilson. A lot of people that do this for a living, that are much more talented at doing this than me, have said so. I am just telling you what I see. Eugene Wilson was a 5-star receiver that played at Florida, had some injury history, didn't really work out for him, so now he ends up at LSU. That is the kind of movement, that is the kind of specimen that you expect to see when you say, I have a 5-star receiver on my team that's now in the transfer portal, or rather was in the transfer portal and he's now on my team. And when he moves around on the field, it's at a different gear than other people. In and out of his cuts, goes into his breaks, receives the ball fluidly, gets upfield fast, gets vertical fast. You're going to hear a lot of that. Like, as we, get into the season, you're going to hear a lot from me about getting vertical. That's kind of what you need to do in an offense that runs a play every 25 seconds. It's going to be, and again, I said it last episode, it's going to be play. And then you're going to look down and try to get a drink, and you're going to try to take a sip of your water, adult beverage, whatever. And then you're going to miss the next one because here comes another one. That's the kind of thing that you need to get used to here. There's no longer going to be sit in your stance for 25 seconds and then get a false start penalty and call timeout with 3 seconds left. It's going to be, we want to run 2 plays by the time, Sloan would have got the play down. No offense. It's just going to be a different feel and vibe. And with that different feel and vibe, you're going to have a different feel and vibe from the people that move the football for you. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And I can't wait to kind of go down and show you some examples here, maybe in some further episodes of how that might look. Shout out to another brother-in-law coming up. I smell a defiantly hot morning upon us, and man, is it glorious. Let me tell you something, brother. I will be very humid and very musty getting into that football game. I'm going to be musty because it's going to be a hot one. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be worth it. The beverages will be flowing. But that's again, that too. Like, how does Clemson look? And we're not going to break down Clemson yet. How does Clemson look coming into Tiger Stadium? You saw how they looked last year when you went on the road to play at their house. And so when you now get to have them come to your crib, you now get to lock the gates in likely 90 and 95 and 100% humidity and say, let's play 4 quarters of SEC football, brother. Can you keep up? And I just don't know if LSU's not going to play that to their advantage, put it that way. And so that's kind of the things that we're talking about with camp intel, man. How do the receivers look? How does the defense look? Be honest with you. We talked about Dylan Jones last week, man. I just think he's going to be your first carry back. I think Harlem's obviously going to be your home run hitter. Dylan Jones just does a lot of things right. Caden Durham with a little bit of a gap, but is going to get some carries. And it just seems like they're going to rely on running the football. That offensive line is going to be better than last year. I don't have to have any hyperbolic take. There doesn't have to be any I'm not like going out on a whim and betting on like plus 1,200 odds and saying that LSU's O-line is going to be better than last year's. Last year's offensive line was justifiably, certifiably, absolutely not good. They were not well coached. They were not prepared. They couldn't they couldn't run the football. And it wasn't until this previous press conference that Lane kind of pushed back on that a little bit when they said, this offensive line was the main problem. I don't remember who asked it or said it, but they said offensive line was the main problem last year. And Lane Kiffin goes, well, hold up now. Hold. Running backs have to run through the hole. Pause. Running backs got to run the ball too. Like, it can't just be on the offense. I don't know if that's not coach speak, because you can't just run the same 3 plays and expect it to just finally work. Like, you can't expect Texas A&M to not adjust to that in the third quarter and go, oh, I know what you're going to do when you line up that way. It's either just going to be left or right. Like, it's not that hard. So I think what you're going to see is some weird formations, some spread formations. You're going to demand that there be somewhat of a lighter box, because if you don't give a light box, then we're just going to throw it to one of our 64 receivers or just trade as green. So you must command people into the box if you're going to stop the run in a Lane Kiffin offense. And if you do command those bodies and numbers, we're then going to throw it over the top of your head. Or we're just going to throw it into space and we're going to nickel and dime you to death. And we're perfectly fine with doing that, because as soon as you think that you're going to start playing under, then we're going to go over the top. And if you want to play up top, then we're going to run the ball again. It's just how it's going to go. And so that's why I just have a very difficult time with seeing the offense not perform well. And they may have a squeaky wheel or two for a few weeks, trying to get it up and going and making it run like the racehorse that it can be, and like it was at Ole Miss last year towards the end of the season when Trinidad was just tossing that pill like a shady pharmaceutical rep. It's only a matter of time. Like, at some point, pharmacists are going to move the pill. You feel me? It just, build their confidence up. So again, when I say take time, I think that's kind of like the perfect pivot into what I want to talk about with today's topic number 2 in showing up versus showing out. I want to be careful how I say I'm about to say. Let me scoot up here. Let me get a little more close and intimate here. What do I mean when I say show up versus show out? What I mean is there are a couple players on the team that have been on the team for a while, long enough to where they should 100% have a starting position at least penciled in. Okay. That is not the case for a couple of individuals, I should say. And if you're not careful, a freshman's going to take that from you. These aren't regular freshmen, though. So you can't just say, oh, well, I mean, if we have a freshman starting, then we have to suck, right? Well, not entirely. Typically, when a freshman starts, for example, Derek Stingley Jr. was a freshman on the national championship team, and I could make a very strong case that he was the best cornerback on that team at 18 years old whenever he was there in the spring, practicing with him for the bowl game previous to the season starting for the Natty. That's typically not what happens on most of the 5-star fronts. But when you're like the upper echelon, you're there early, you're putting in your time. That's what can happen if you are given an opportunity and you're about that work and about that life and you are physically ready. I will tell you, all of the freshman defensive linemen are physically ready for the SEC today. But there's a couple that I want to highlight just for a quick second, because what I am talking about is the defensive line right now. Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson are going to be very, very hard to deal with for, I'd say, probably 7 or 8 out of 10 guards and centers they go up against, since that's where they're going to be lining up, obviously, in that 3 tech. Deuce Geralds is like when they just put out, like, so LSU just put something out on Instagram and Twitter about an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, just before we started the show. And it's just highlights of, individual plays, a little bit slow motion, a little bit regular speed. Y'all, Deuce Geralds, he wears number 99. Y'all are going to love this guy. Y'all are, dear God. Every video that they put out and he's in it, he has the most violent hands I've seen from an 18-year-old in a long time, man. That dude moves fast, he moves mean, he moves violent, and he moves with intent. And it's not necessarily something that you should be like, I suppose, shocked by. But when you see it, it's hard to not be shocked. It's like, oh my God, like who is that? And then you see, oh Christ, he's 18 years old. That's a freshman. That is a freshman that was here in the spring and came to football and said, football ops rather, and said, I am playing, lock down your spot or I'm coming for it, period. And Richard Anderson, the New Orleans kid who wears 88, completely different body type. Big space eater, strong as an ox. I mean, his legs literally are the size of full-grown adult people. He is just a large human that moves at a speed that large humans aren't supposed to be able to move at. And so when you then have 2 of them like that are that talented, and they're both getting starting reps from what we have been shown. Granted, there are periods that we are not We don't have proclivities to, and we don't have the ability to see them before those. There's periods of practice in which, again, we don't see. But what we're seeing is that 2 freshmen starting defensive tackles is kind of crazy. Now, that kind of leads you to say, well, what about Steph Green, defensive tackle from Clemson, bit of an older fella, been here in college for a few years. Shouldn't he be the starter? Well, he's kind of picked it up. And the talk out of the last, few days of camp is that Steph Green looks great. I mean, they're working with him. I mean, he looks good. And then the other end of it is true for someone like a one Dominic McKinley, who, again, people are used to seeing. He's got to pick it up, man. Like you can't let other people being good at your position make you feel bad about yourself, and you're feeling a little blue. And you never know what people are going through. You don't know what's going on in a person's life. You never want to make any suggestive comments. And I'm not saying the kid's not trying. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that whenever several people that cover the team use the word bad body language, that makes me a little bit concerned that he's a little bit annoyed by not by the coaching, but by the fact that he's being passed up. Well, brother, you're given a chance every day here to go and compete. So go and compete. Move some folks. Get your hand up under Bo Bordelon's armpits and move him. Go after Braylon Moore. Give him a dip and rip, or a spin, or bull rush him. I mean, do something. It's frustrating to hear such a talented kid. Again, and I'm not saying you can't get passed up by 5-star plus all freshman, all American type people who everybody in the country wanted and would have been the prized possession jewel of their recruiting class. Getting passed up by them is not like getting passed up by the 3-star from, Vermont. No shade to Vermont, but it's like, damn, dude, like, come on, like we've seen it. We just got to see it click. And I think that it will for Dom, man. I really do think that it will. I think that it's just going to take some time, and I need you to not just show up. I need you to show out. These freshmen are showing out. Somebody that's not a freshman that's showing out. How about PJ Woodland? Does anybody else hear anything about PJ Woodland? I don't. You know what that means? Good stuff. In case y'all wanted to know. When you're a cornerback and people don't really have to say a lot, that usually means you're doing your job. Or if they talk about you a lot, like we did Mansour Delane last year, that's whenever you can also feel pretty confident. Means he's pretty good. In the preseason leading up to whenever they would, take the field, you didn't hear people coming back from fall camping going, "Oh, dude, Christian Fulton." You would hear him, and you would go, "Oh, well, he's doing his job. He's been around the team, got a little bit of, little suspension here and there, but he came back. He played, he's put his time in. He's a good player." Dude, Christian Fulton was as good as a number 1 and 2 cornerback as there could have been in the Southeastern Conference in that national championship year. Like, I kind of feel that way about PJ Woodland. And so Deshaun Spears finally playing with Star. CJ Jim Coyley, who played special teams all year last year. You're not hearing a lot about him. But when negative things continue to pop up and it's the same verbiage and it's the same language from different people that I know are not affiliated with each other, that usually leads me to believe that they're seeing the same thing and coming to the same conclusions. So I just need you to show out and not just show up. So that's kind of what I'm hearing about that. And as far as the position group, what I wanted to put here, the position group that I'm hearing most about, I should say, in terms of like who's looking the part. I'm kind of having a hard time saying that it's not going to be these receivers and it's not going to be these linebackers, man. These linebackers have some crazy stats, y'all. Like Devon Keys leading your team in tackles, and he's running with the 2s. Now, you bring in TJ Daughtery, who's a big Lane Kiffin guy, huge tackle machine, every freaking where on the field, plays with his hair on fire, a lot like Whit Weeks. But yet you've got someone like Keys who is literally running with the second team right now. And I'm not saying that means he's not going to play. Of course he's going to play. And of course he's going to make tackles. And of course he's going to be effective. But the linebacking core, y'all, they just have bodies that are just sitting in the second and third deep, and it's almost hard to conceptualize how it's possible that you can look at a 6'3", 225 specimen and not, and they're not starting, but then you go, oh wait, well there's another one. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, well then he's 6'4". Oh, well he's 6'2", 215. Like, there's just so many of them. This team has so much talent. It's just going to take a little bit of time to gel. When it comes to the linebackers, though, I don't know why they wouldn't hit the ground running. They've got some talent in that room, man. You kind of heard some scuttle over the last couple of days, about, and we'll see here probably by the time we get off the show, about they're having an evening practice, a night practice tonight, about Jaden Breaker, big, strong, athletic, fast kid out of Texas, I believe, or maybe it was Georgia. I think it was Georgia. Jaden Breaker, been on the team for a couple of years now, hadn't really cracked, the rotation yet, handsomely here in terms of play. And then, dude, now he's at edge. So now you've got Jaden Breaker, you've got Lamar Brown coming for it. I mean, Lamar Brown was the highest rated kid in your class. Like, Lamar Brown, like number one defensive prospect in the nation. And dude just got here like 6 weeks ago, like over the summer. And he's running with the twos in a faded 55 jersey. Like, that's what showing out means. That's a position group that I'm keeping my eye on. When you've got Gabe Relaford, who, God bless, I want Gabe Relaford to play so bad, man. Jesus Christ, do I want Gabe to play? Because nobody set the edge like Gabe, man. Nobody. And he's going to take advantage of Gabe, unfortunately, being hurt with that ACL, and that he's coming to play, man. Like, these kids are. You've got Jaden Breaker moving from linebacker to edge, and all of a sudden he's making plays. I just need some of you guys to pick it up, because I know you want to be here. I know you love the Tigers, and I love the Tigers, and frankly, we love you, but we got to see it. Like, you can't have bad body language and fall freaking camp, bruh. You can have bad body language if you're down by 20 on the road at Neyland or Oxford, or you're up by 30 and still not playing. Okay, maybe bad body language is moderately acceptable. But dear God, like, not in fall camp when you don't even have live bullets flying yet. They just put on pads and you already have bad body language. It just blows my mind. But anyway, that's kind of what I meant by that. And so I suppose what that leaves us with into our last category before we, wrap this up and get you guys out here, is what I want to hear by next week. Okay. I'll tell you what I want to see by next week. I want to see us get 100 subscribers. Can we get to 100 subscribers? For those of you that listen on YouTube and have Google accounts and YouTube TV accounts and all the stuff, can y'all please just log in and subscribe to the show and click the notification bell? It helps us with the algorithm. That's what I want to see before next week. But what I want to hear before next week is, I want to hear on Saturday when they have the scrimmage that isn't covered by the media, by the way. I do not think the media is getting access to the scrimmage. What I want to hear is, this person stepped up and separated themselves from the competition. I want to hear that Lamar Brown gets in somebody's face and says, I'm here. I want to see PJ Woodland go, why is anybody confident in being CB2 on this team besides me? Is Haven Finney going to be, cornerback 3? A 17-year-old kid that graduates a year early, was the number 1 cornerback and what would have been this recruiting class, classifies a year early, gets to campus, and is now apparently you're getting special attention from the media because people are noticing that homeboy's low-key locking it down. Is he going to be your cornerback number 3? Like, are we going to see someone stand up? Can Jakeem Jackson make an appearance? We've had him on the team for a couple of years now. Can he show up and be cornerback 3? Can Jaden Breaker make some appearances on the edge in a game? Are you going to see him September 5th when you play Clemson at dinner time? Like, what are we going to hear coming out of this camp? Are we going to hear that it's just the starters are the starters and you don't have any depth? Or are we going to hear about some young people that are chomping at the bit and ready to kick some ass? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people taking advantage of their opportunities on a new team with a head coach that is willing to give you the ability to perform. I want to hear you, the media, tell me that y'all are hearing and that we are hearing that so-and-so is making a push. I want to hear, Harlem Berry's closing the distance on Dylan Jones. I want to hear stuff like that. It's hard for me to say that I need to hear anything other than that. Like, I know that they're putting in work with Coach Nick Savage. I know they're going to be physically strong. I know they're going to be physically in shape. They're going to have to be. They're getting trained for a Lane Kiffin offense. You're going to have unbelievable cardio. You're literally going to have the most amazing physical shape you've ever been in your life in order to be successful in this offense. And so I have a difficult time with the bad body language thing. I know I've referenced it like 7 times on the show, but it just bothers the crap out of me when I hear stuff like that, because you do have the opportunity to be successful if you are willing to put the work in. And that's with anything that you do in life. And if you're just going to have the poor me's and feel a little blue because someone else is doing well also, instead of looking at that as an opportunity to put a fire in your behind and also, pick yourself up and do even better, it just makes me feel like maybe you're not ready for the moment. And if that's the case, then okay, someone else will be, but it would be nice if all of you were. So that's just kind of how I feel, man. It's a little bit of the things that just kind of, I want to hear. Again, we're still, I don't even know how many days, we are away here. We could do some quick math. I mean, 7, 14, 21. So, I mean, we're, just shy of 30, call it like 27 days, 26 days, something like that. 20 days, however many it is. I mean, we're close, man. I need to hear something other than bad body language from some of the people that aren't, on the starting rotations. Because a Lane Kiffin team is going to have multiple people play. No longer do you need to worry about burning red shirts and crap. You have 5 to play 5. I mean, you just heard them rule on it. So come on, let's get it together. Okay. Let's figure out maybe how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers are gonna, be your main targets. Who's gonna be that 6th guy? Who's gonna be that special teams freak? Is that a Eugene Wilson? Can we get, maybe Malik Elzy to make some noise, a big body guy ready to, make some noise? I'm very, very excited for what can happen. It's just that a lot of the hesitancies with some of the people that cover the team thinking that they're still going to have 3 and 4 losses or whatever the case may be, feels like you are making a guarded opinion on what you have seen. And I'm not trying to paint last season as a positive. But remember what it took for you to lose to Vanderbilt. Remember what it took to lose to Ole Miss. Remember what it took for you to lose to Alabama. What it took for you to lose to Texas A&M. Like it's not like you were earths different in talent. You had the talent. You just 1, 2, 3, 4 plays away, and you didn't take advantage of it, and you couldn't score enough. So now that you do have a Blake Baker defense that has proven to be good, and if I were to say last year, you could have this defense, but have an assured thing on offense, how would you feel about this team? And most people would go, dude, we'll go 10-2. We will go 10-2. And at worst, we'll go 9-3. And you're probably in the position with Texas and Vanderbilt vying for who's going to be, the closest to not making it into the playoffs. Okay. What in God's name, respect to our Almighty Father, what in God's name is more of an assured thing than a Lane Kiffin offense? So a year ago, if I were to have said this defense with a Lane Kiffin offense, what would you take? So now you have it and you're still hesitant. Yes, the schedule's harder, But you also have, to me, I was way more afraid of going on the road to Clemson than playing them at the crib. I was way more afraid of you having to exchange away games with A&M. They're back at the crib. I mean, would you paint having Texas at home as better than going to Austin again? Like, you can look at this half full and say, I mean, you kind of have the talent to have the ability to win any game that you tee it up and kick it off in. And I know in college sports, that's kind of an easy thing to say, but you have the talent, you have the roster. So let's start pretending like Lane Kiffin's offense can't freaking put up 400 yards on most people. Okay. It will take some time. Maybe there's a couple of hiccups here and there. Yes, health obviously needs to continue to be a thing for, for the line and for the quarterback. But if you have that health, I just think you're going to score points. I just do. So we'll see what we hear out of the weekend, how the scrimmage, goes. What are some of the notes that we hear? We're going to get some interviews, obviously, with not only the offensive and defensive coordinators, Charlie and Blake. And then we're just going to keep seeing what we can find out through the grapevine, through the videos that are released. And we're going to be here to talk about it. I want to shout out everybody for being in the chat tonight. I want to shout out everybody for just taking a little bit of time to watch the show. We obviously do, have full-time jobs, so I'm not going to say that I sacrifice, 10, 15, 20 hours a week to be able to do this. But I will say that Russo does put a lot of work into making, these things, work optically. It does take a lot of time to come up with some of the, talking points and, formulating thoughts and going through and combing through videos, going back, reviewing over them, rewinding, going to bed late a few nights a week, trying to, save some of those things. And it does take some time. So for you guys to give us a little bit of time and, lend an ear is pretty awesome and pretty cool for you guys to be able to do. So as long as you guys are willing to do it, I'll come here and talk to you about it. And so will Russo. So that's going to be it from us, y'all. We're going to wrap this one up, put a bow on it, and get ready for the Russo and Goodwin show. RNG will be live. Whether it's tomorrow or whether it's Thursday, it should be Thursday, but we might see if we don't even go a little bit earlier. But again, thank you for everything that you guys have done for us, for logging in. Please like and subscribe if you can. Follow us on the socials, and we'll catch y'all on the next one, okay? Y'all take it easy. Peace and love.
From the heart of South where the Tigers take flight,